Noah Moeaki, I think, is the key for American Fork as well.
Absolutely. Noah has really turned it on the second half of the year as well.
When they need a basket, they go to Noah.
Yeah. I think that the last Skyridge game, Skyridge makes a run, Noah ends it.
Yeah.
Skyridge makes a run, Noah ends it.
He did that as well against us. He just, when they really need a hoop, they go to him.
Noah sends out to Wallace. Ashton toes up a three and hits it. It was a wrong three-point line, but it didn't matter. He's behind all of them.
It's funny. It's easy to get confused with those three different lines. We were in the gym yesterday, and Nancy Warner, the head coach of our girls team, who plays later tonight, she had put tape, three different lines out on the court, for her girls to get used to. So.
And that's why she was missed basketball. That's a traveling violation. We'll go the other way.
I was going to say, you know what that is? Preparation. That's coaching right there, right? Hey, get used to it now, because we've seen that affect teams here this week.
Nancy's a phenomenal coach. She is, and she has her girls well prepared.
So I guess that means you're taking Lone Peak to get the win later today over Skyridge.
You know what? Absolutely.
That's going to be a great ball game.
Lone Peak all the way.
Coach Ross is FTB for the brand. So
she's got a really fun team.
Yeah, she does. Inside of 30 seconds left, Moeaki follow-away hits. I'm so glad to see him healthy. It just feels good. We cover these guys for so long. 4 years with Noah. Covered his sister, was a Miss Basketball Player of the Year for the state championship AF team a couple years ago. Just so good to see him healthy on the floor as Williams. Or pardon me, that is
Ericksen.
Ericksen can't get that one. Wallace with the board with 8. Evan Young with 6. Young can't get that one to go, and that's how the first quarter will end. And it's American Fork with a 3-point lead heading in the second quarter. Cavemen 15, Titans 12. You're watching the 2022 6A quarterfinals on KSLSports.com. Offense for Coach Russell. Williams hands it back to Brandon Clark. And now up top with Dax Brady. Williams spin in the lane, got away from Rawson, reverses and scores.
That kid is so tough. He just probes and probes until he gets what he wants. And if you're not up on him on the catch, he will knock it down. Looks like Ollie Anderson, number 3, is on the floor from American Fork. That kid can really shoot it as well.
Another designated 3-point shooter.
Boy.
He and Tiger Cuff share the same responsibility when on the floor.
Yes, they do. Shoot when you touch it.
I thought that might have been an illegal screen on Ross. I thought that shoulder was dipping down a little bit, and maybe he got drug, moved, whatever the terminology is. But instead of the foul call there on Syracuse.
Hopefully he wasn't drugged.
Oh, and a steal by Hamblin. There's that safety. Gets around, comes up to the plate. Ericksen give it up outside to Williams. Up top, Hamblin. Williams gets it back out to Brady, and he'll reset the offense. Ericksen has that taken away by Evan Young. Hamblin giving chase. Young at the rim, swatted away. And now a loose ball foul going to be called on Dax Brady, but Brevin Hamblin.
We talked about defensive anchor. Look, I thought Evan Young, there are very few kids that can track down Evan Young.
Yep.
And for your big man to come all the way back and get that block, what a hustle there by Brevin Hamblin.
Moeaki doesn't get it. Wallace tracks down the offensive board. Ashton lost the ball. Young saves it in bounds, but into the hands of Williams on the run with Syracuse. Williams stolen away by Anderson. Does more than shoot threes. Well, this game has been a little plodding, now finding some excitement as Young rattles home the 3. He flosses daily and nightly.
Evan Young's a kid that I've been around Evan quite a bit as he's grown up, and a kid has spent thousands of hours in the gym, as all these boys have.
Yeah.
He's sure worked hard at becoming a good basketball player.
And I lovingly dubbed him the Bobby Hurley of Utah high school basketball. Because
he does play like that.
The Duncanville coaches just couldn't believe they couldn't keep him out of the lane. They were just beside themselves. He kept breaking down their defense.
Evan's quick.
He's got a bright future of coaching at a mediocre program in his future.
Hey, as long as he doesn't get the crowd cheering, he won't get a technical. And there's a foul. That's Bobby's brother.
Look, I'm an ASU alum, so I can make that jab. It's okay.
Well, it's James Harden anyway, and phantom buzzer-beating shots against certain teams that are in state. But the reason I made that joke, his dad is the owner, founder of Young Family Dental. So just so people understand why I said that. Dane didn't know. So
I was late to make the association. I knew that was the case, but I was like, what, a water pick? What is happening here? I'm all confused. And
3 on the way off the mark from Williams. The board to Dunn, now on the run, Moeaki.
Every shot Williams takes, I think it's going in. It looks pure off his fingertips.
Anderson now to Tiger Cuff.
Nice thing about Syracuse is you know who to defend. It's their primary, secondary target, 1 and 2.
Right.
Jersey numbers.
First read, second, as Young misses the junction jumper. On the run now with Syracuse. Clark leaves it back for Ericksen, and he traveled. Moeaki, a future Division I linebacker, he knows how to defend.
Yeah, Noah moves his feet well for his size. And he's strong. He beats you to a spot, and then you bounce off him. He's just so strong and physical.
I mean, he looks a lot bigger than he did as a point guard on that state championship team a couple years ago, doesn't he?
Yes, he
does.
That
dude's a tank.
He's filled out a bit.
Yeah.
He's actually moving a lot better than I think he's moving a lot better than he was earlier this year when he first started playing.
Dunn got that to drop in. I'm sure he's gotten some workouts in with his brother-in-law, Lavani Damuni, the current Stanford Cardinal.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
Damuni's are everywhere. Just ask Jack. As there's a steal. Moeaki sends out Tiger Cuff. Tiger down the lane. Left hand and goes. Young freshman with the layup, and it's a 5-point lead for American Fork. Full timeout on the floor. We'll take it with them. 3:22 left in the half. Cavemen lead by 5. 3:22 left in the half. And see how Syracuse responds. Trailing by 5. And this isn't like during the run they haven't trailed. They're down 7 in the fourth quarter to Davis's. Evan Young set him up and got the call.
He absolutely set him up on that. I don't love that call. I think you got to actually hit them before they fall.
Here's my thing if you're Syracuse. Kaden Erickson's had a couple plays that he hasn't been able to convert. You've seen kind of drop the head a little bit. They've played with confidence throughout the playoffs. And, halftime is like an opportunity to kind of circle the troops, get refocused, re-energized, because right now I worry a little bit about the energy and if they can overcome that.
Moeaki gets some space and it crawls home.
Yeah, typically he hasn't done that, Ericksen. He typically gets what he wants and he gets where he wants, and he has dribbled into a couple of double teams, and I think they will straighten that out.
Inside of 2:45 left in the half. It's Kane King, get it all the way to the rim, and Kane wreaking havoc, lays that one up and in.
That's another guy that plays really hard for Syracuse. He just comes and plays hard.
Ollie Anderson.
And Anderson, a guy, he had a nice game against you guys in the region play. He's kind of one of the unsung guys on this AF roster, but really skilled.
I'm actually happy for Ollie. He's been at a couple different schools, and it's good to see him have the success that he's worked so hard for. He is a really, really good shooter, and if you don't find him, he will knock it down.
Wave off the bucket, a foul on the floor.
Can I just tell you, I really love watching Coach Cuff on the sidelines. It's fun. I don't mean anything negative about it. It's just his energy and the way he just conducts himself. It's great to see him back in a quarter at the big stage here.
Good to see his old teammate Randy Reed hanging out at the top of the arena too.
If there's a ball game, Randy's probably there.
Yes, he is.
Randy catches lots of ball games. I don't know if you guys know this, but we had a senior this year, Cooper, and then he's got a sophomore brother, Crew Schwartz. Those are Randy's nephews.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, their sister, or their mother is a Reed. So
ball goes off of Syracuse, and it'll belong to American Fork. And so Syracuse is flirting with danger here. They got to go up with a defensive stop, down 7. As we know from American Fork, they're going to look to shorten the game down. Next year they can't do this, but Ryan is all about shortening it up. You're going to go a little keep away, going to eat up this 135 left because there is no shot clock Utah High School basketball this year.
I think, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually. We're really excited about the shot clock next year. When you go play out of state, you get that opportunity, and I think it'll just make the game so much more fun for people to watch and to play for the guys as well.
And Ryan knows, I need to go talk to him just to make sure he knows, but he knows I love him to death. But the rules say you can do it, so by all means, as that one's stolen. I feel like that happens far too often when you go to that game plan. As we go inside of a minute left,
That does happen a lot.
King gonna drive on cuff. Whoa, that ball goes out of bounds. And Tiger, hey, he might be a freshman, but he's smart. He got a little bit of that body contact to him. That ball goes away.
Tiger's really intelligent. He, as he gets stronger and matures a bit, he is going to be a hard kid to handle. He's very smart.
You guys made a statement about Tiger. He's at 17 threes this year, scored 66 points. The math is 51 of those 66 are from beyond the arc. So 15 from not the three-point range.
Yeah, I don't think as he gets stronger again, I just don't think he feels comfortable down there banging with the bigger, stronger guys. But as he does mature, he's intelligent and he's skilled, and he'll be good down there.
So as Wallace with the lay-in in a 9-point game. It's been here 10 seconds left in the half. Ericksen couldn't get space. Young with the steal and the foul to Ericksen. And you see this the savviness of Evan Young. I could see where you want him on your team, but you hate playing against him. That was a well-defense play by Evan Young.
Bobby Hurley.
Evan is a competitor. Evan hates to lose. Evan will, it doesn't matter if you're at the church, the club, Evan is going to play hard every time he steps on the floor. He hates to lose.
5 seconds left. Young finds Wallace, and Ashton lays it in.
How about that find, huh? By Evan Young getting bodied. He's got a cutter and Wallace able to score it.
A tight game at the end of one. And that first half, really, AF, it took them a minute to find their footing, but they opened up an 11-point lead, Coach.
Yeah, you know what? You better stay in front of AF or they'll just pick you apart because they're really, really good at executing their offense. They're patient and they get what they want. And if you don't turn them over a little bit, they'll execute you to death.
You ready for the stat of the first half?
Ready.
There's two of them. One blew me away. You want to know the field goal percentage for Syracuse? 8 of 12, they were 75% from the floor. They only scored 19 points. You know why? 13 turnovers for Syracuse. Not going to get it done. Got to clean up the execution for the Titans if they want to come back and get a win.
Go ahead.
AF's so big and strong and physical that you've got to take their hits. And if the refs, aren't giving you touch fouls, you better be prepared to take their hits because they're very physical.
Semro can't get that one to go. And this game's somewhat similar to that game against Davis. They only had 2 field goals in the first half against Davis and were down 5 points. As Moeaki, the feel-good story of the tournament, gets that one to go.
When Noah gets within 6 feet of the basket, you're in trouble because I would guess he converts about 80% of the time down there.
That was my worry, is the physicality of AF. I mean, how do you match up with that across the board? It's not just Noah Moeaki. We saw Evan Young get physical on that last play of the first half. So AF is going to packing on the pounds, bringing the muscle, and you're going to have to deal with that.
Brandon Clark with a creative finish there. And an 11-point game. And one thing you know is AF's going to keep pouring it on, but as you mentioned, they're going to be patient offensively. As Moeaki spins base, handling off his feet, and then the foul going to come. We'll see if that goes the front or the back. They're going to go to Hamblin on the block.
Yeah, I think if Syracuse doesn't figure out a way to stop Noah down low, it could be a long second half for them. They might. I didn't see for sure if Hamblin was on him in that possession, but I'm not sure if there's anybody else out there that can physically handle him except maybe number 4.
When they brought help down, I mean, you have Clark coming from the top side to try to double team it, but look, this guy's a 4-year contributor, starter. Well, not 4-year starter because the injuries, but a 4-year contributor in multiple sports. And I mean, it's going to take more than double teams to try to slow him down. And you've got 14 minutes to figure out a recipe.
And I think he did start as a freshman, and then he was hurt that year. But I think he started for them as a freshman.
So down the floor, here's Williams, and then Rossum going to pick up the foul. And I remember coming off the bench because I thought it was 5 seniors. Because you had Stewart, you had the old Tanner Cuff, you had, now I'm blanking on a bunch of names. I went to show how smart I am.
I thought he did start. I thought he was the only freshman, but I could be wrong. He might have just had major minutes.
I thought he started. I thought I remember sitting in that section right over there watching him start as a freshman, but I could be wrong too. I'm not sure.
I remember that semifinal game against Davis, and the whole team fouled out but Noah Moeaki and Tanner Cuff.
That's one of the best games I've ever seen. That game was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, there was like 6 different times you thought a team was going to win, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, and on the drive, Williams decided to get the call and didn't. We've seen it all day today. Closer to the rim, it takes a lot of contact. Reneer hangs and blocked from behind. Semero got in there, got the block. Young, now Rawson can go back out to Evan. They'll reset the offense. Moeaki. Semero hits the deck, no call. Backside board, Rawson misses the bunny, and the jump ball will belong to Syracuse.
I'm really surprised we didn't have an offensive foul there. I thought there was good positioning. And look, it's a little bit of the Shaq rule, right? Look, just because he's bigger doesn't mean that it's an offensive foul every time, but I was surprised there was no call there.
Yeah, it was the same call as they called in the first half. It was pretty much the same situation, and they just made a different call.
So back down the floor with Syracuse. Ericksen's got to get going. He's fouled on the drive, and Ericksen will have 2 free throws. He had 2 points in the first half, just surprising with the run he's had in the state tournament.
Yeah, he's so vital to them. As we prepared for him, you know, we put our best defender on him. We just think he is so vital for them because he can score both inside and going to the rim. And for them to be successful, he needs to get to the basket.
It was interesting, Coach. You know, before I had a chance to talk to you before that game. Usually like to talk with staffs before games when possible, and you asked me what would you do, and I had a recipe. It was different than your recipe, and I think you tried both, and neither worked. I mean, this Syracuse team, it was just like when they're clicking. I mean, they can play with anybody.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of recipes, and none of them worked against those guys. They just executed against us. They're really good players. Those guys. They're well coached, and they did a great job.
Back cut, and Ashton Wallace lays it in. And that's where they can get you. And Wallace is so willing to whatever he needs to do. Move without the basketball, get the bucket. 12-point lead for AF. As here comes Ericksen. Takes the bump, gets the bucket.
There you go.
Yeah, if he can get going a little bit, this game can turn around. But they need him to get going.
I mean, the other thing to me, when you look at that first half, just 1 of 3 from beyond the arc for Syracuse. And look, I appreciate the ratio, 12 field goals, 3 threes. But in this tournament, they've been hitting threes, right? And for them to be successful and to stay up with some of the higher scoring teams, they've got to hit those outside shots. And so if you can get 3-point plays, maybe open up the perimeter a little bit, get some confidence in your shooters, could go a long way to helping claw back in this.
Yeah, that's true. Coach Cuff, I think, has done a great job in preparing his guys to not allow them to get open looks. I don't think they've passed on a whole lot of open looks, and even looks they've had, they've been contested. They're not getting anything easy on that 3-point line.
So Syracuse going to go to the half-court pressure. As Young goes to the corner, Reneer.
They bring in Anderson on that opposite side. They'll skip the ball here probably in a minute, and if they're not careful, he'll get a 3-point shot on them.
As there'll be kick ball on Williams. He didn't kick it, hit my calf. But we'll stay here with American Fork. It's too bad Jim Sheets isn't in the building. I want to ask him, is this a Coach Cuff Richfield offense set? I've got to find out. Jim, if you're listening, just text us.
Was that was that Coach Cuff's high school coach?
It was his dad, yeah, until his senior year.
Oh, wow.
And Jim Sheets played with Ryan. They were part of that Richfield team that lost to Sean Bradley.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Stephen Gordon with the half-court shot.
I remember that.
Of course, Steve Gordon went on to win 3 state championships as the girls' coach at Emory and is now the vice principal. There's a 3 on the way from Young off the mark. Moeaki tracks down the board, give it back. Dunn inside and lays it in.
Those offensive rebounds just kill you, and AF is so good at offensive rebounding. They've won several games this year just through offensive rebounding.
I think a good adjective of really good teams is so willing. You think the great teams, you guys are just so willing to do what they have to do. As that shot won't go, and the rebound to Dunn. Ooh.
He wasn't across.
He wasn't?
You have to fully establish yourself across the midline. His feet were right on.
Straddling isn't over?
Nope, it's 3 points, right? Basketball,
right.
2 feet.
See, this is why Dane makes friends with refs, and then I talk to them.
Doug was on that when he had it. Doug's a very good ref.
And the rebound here to Hamlin. And now down the floor, Syracuse can try to cut into this 11-point deficit. Ericksen off the screen of Hamlin.
The thing that's so tough about AF is they've got multiple guys that can guard any position on the floor. And they just are tough because you can have 2 or 3 scores and they've got 2 or 3 guys that can match up with you defensively that are probably, you know, a little bit quicker or a little bit stronger, and they just can match up with pretty much anybody you put out there.
Well, I feel like the depth of the lineup, I mean, you look at the first half, they had 8 guys that played, but, I mean, they all contributed in different ways and significant ways, and I just feel like this team provides a lot more. They can go deeper in their bench than some of the others, and in my mind, that makes you pretty well positioned to make a tournament run.
Yeah, I agree. They're very deep. And the kids that come in off the bench, they play with all kinds of confidence. They act like they've been doing it all year, and they have. I mean, Ryan's had a big rotation all year long, and so these kids aren't starstruck at all. They just go out and play hard.
There's Ericksen, and to your point, he played 9 guys in the first quarter against Duncanville. And I asked him, did you do that to get their eyes smaller? He goes, yep, absolutely. He ran everybody out there. Is down low, no call for Williams. Hamlin with the board, and it comes out. The wide channel basketball failed him as it crawled out.
Dunn went down in a bad way. One where there wasn't any contact. It was almost just like the momentum of it potentially putting some severe strain, and that did not look very good.
So we'll take a break. They're going to 10 to Dunn. We'll be right back. 2:02 left in the third. AF. So Dunn gets off the floor. They're going to attend to him. As Ollie Anderson holds up top, back out the Tiger. As Anderson came in when Dunn went down. 11-point game, about 1:45 left. Yao Reneer. Anderson goes back to Yao. Moeaki gets it back out. Yao Reneer, 4-3.
Great ball movement. I mean, you work that to the wing, you bring a guy baseline, it's making that defense decide, and you're able to find Moeaki at the free throw line. That's good execution.
Yeah, they made Syracuse work hard defensively, and ultimately Yao hit that shot. That's tough.
Yao Reneer trying to get back to his his third semifinal. It'll be his second one at the Huntsman Center as Hamlin fouled on the shot. Remember, Yao Reneer was part of that team with Coach Santiago that lost in the state championship to Springville.
You know, I just realized, I'm not that smart. You guys are going to be like, now you're realizing that? Syracuse prevented us from a rematch of that triple overtime semifinal, AF Davis, at the Huntsman Center.
They did.
Yeah. Which, you know, good on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tip the cap, right? But I just realized, it would have been AF Davis again.
You know, it's fun. Davis, we talked about student sections earlier, right? Bingham had that huge crowd. And you talk about the biggest one you remember was Olympus.
Yeah.
Davis, Lone Peak, 2007.
I remember that.
Tyler Haas and crew taking on Chase Flint. One loss between the two teams, and it was Lone Peak's loss to Spanish Fort that year.
I remember that.
They were all the way to the top of the event center. Unreal.
Those were such fun games. You know what? High school basketball, there's nothing better than this. I mean, there's so many dads out there right now with their sons, that their kids, as we were driving up, I was driving up with my son, and he said, this is best memories I have as a kid is you getting me out of school when I was in elementary and going up and watching games. And I remember my dad when Skyline played Provo High School, and Provo High School had Greg Balliff, and Skyline had Danny Vrains, and I sat in the very top row, and we came to a game and watched it, and it's just such a great experience for these kids and their dads.
Hamlin gets that one to rattle home, and it's back to an 11-point game with 50 seconds left in the third. As Cuff goes ahead to Anderson. Ollie gives it up to Moeaki. Fly by Noah, jackknife it up and in.
Noah's so tough on finishing, whether he's off balance or on balance. He's just so strong. He just finishes.
And Williams draws a foul on Young. As you see, that is the 16th foul on American Fork. Syracuse will be shooting the entire fourth quarter. That's the 16th foul on American Fork. And the second personal on Evan Young. There's a steal. Ahead, Reneer able to track it down, and Yao lays it in.
I didn't know if Yao was going to catch up with that. Good burst there from Reneer.
Good thing he got wingspan.
He's a great athlete, too. Yao can move sideways. He can run. He's strong. He can jump well. He's a very good athlete.
8 seconds to go in the quarter. Ericksen, junction J. No, Hamblin with the rebound. We got a foul on the board. Let's go on Reneer. That'll be number 3 on Yao.
Part of the benefit of coming on our streams here, we've got an official telling Rob Ross hi. So Courtney Littledyke out there saying, tell Rob hi for me. And
Courtney's he's a great guy. He's a really good ref as well. Looks like he might be doing the next game. He's a really good ref as well.
Free throw is good for Hamblin. We'll have one more. 2.9 left in the third. As Syracuse trying to stay within striking distance, but AF continues to execute. And that free throw won't go. Moeaki at the horn.
get it.
And we go to the fourth quarter. American Fork is 8 minutes away from punching their ticket to the semifinals. It's the Cavemen 44, Titans 30. You're watching the 2022 6A quarterfinals. Again, start of the fourth quarter, Dusty Litster, Dane Stewart, and head coach Rob Ross of the Lone Peak Knights. And again, remind you, make 2022 the year of you. Go to wgu.edu and sign up for an opportunity to get a $2,500 scholarship at Western Governors University. Get your degree on your terms and your own timeline at Western Governors University. 14-point lead, and Dane, Syracuse is still yet to wait to see Syracuse beat Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Williams 4 points, Ericksen 7 combined, they've only got 11. They're averaging almost 30 a game combined. So AF has done such a good job of making them uncomfortable, making them work. Hasn't given them anything easy. Coach, you've talked about the perimeter defense, and it's just been tough when your best scorers don't score against a really good team. It's hard to win.
Yeah, it's tough to beat AF. They're just so good defensively, and now Syracuse is going to have to deal with AF spreading the floor and picking and choosing the exact shot that they want. It's going to be a tough 7 minutes, I think.
Hamblin loses it. It's Young, chased down by Hamblin. That was a clean steal. Here comes Hamblin. Hands back. The three from Williams rattles out, and the rebound's off of Hamblin. That should be it's off Rawson.
You know, those shots for Williams, I mean, he's been hitting those all throughout the tournament, and it's just interesting when things, it's just tough. When things go a little bit south, it's just tough. Those shots don't go in quite as easily.
And that's going to go on Rawson, number 2.
And we have not seen Dunn come back in the ball game, and they just walked him up the tunnel. So remember, he went down with that injury. Hope it's nothing severe. Obviously, AF looking like they're going to have another game, but man, you certainly wish the best for him. Is they're trying to test that and just see how he's doing. And looks like he's going to come back out here. Good sign.
Aaron had a broken foot before the season started this year, so hopefully, yeah, it looks like he's fine. He's coming out, so it's great news.
And when you don't miss chest day, you can walk out like that. It's good. So here comes American Fork up 14. Is Young going to go to work, and Evan is fouled by Hamblin, and it'll be free throws for Evan Young.
Dusty, I don't think any of those AF guys miss chest day. I think every one of those guys, they show up to weightlifting days, it looks like.
You know who doesn't miss chest day at AF is Mr. Clegg. Hunter Clegg. That kid is built like a freight train, and he's going to be batting left-handed, hitting 500-foot bombs here in about next week.
And an offer to LSU this week, I believe. So that young man, he's got a bright future.
Yes, he does.
You know who else doesn't miss chest day? Me. I drink a soda every day to help grow that chest, and burgers a couple times a week.
I drove by my gym this morning. I was like, I should, and I was like, I'll get to the arena on time.
You know,
what goes out of bounds?
Half the game is mental, Dusty. As long as you're thinking about it, half of it's mental, so you're okay.
I used to do push-ups, and then I was like, ice cream tastes a lot better, so I shifted the push-ups from physical push-ups to ice cream push-ups, and still chest day.
6:36 left in the fourth, a 30-second timeout. As I'm sure you're all enthralled with our conversation, but really, you take a look at the bracket. You see what's there. Corner Canyon already punched their ticket to the semifinals, going back. Bingham Westlake.
Can I get Coach Ross in a little bit of trouble?
You know, Preston, the intern Preston, he's got to fix this stuff. But go ahead.
Coach, one more quarterfinal, PG Skyridge. I'm not going to make you pick a winner, but what's maybe a key for you in that one, having played both of those teams?
Yeah, if it's okay, I'll give you 2 keys. I think the key for Pleasant Grove is to keep Nick Holland in front of him. He is the head of the snake for that team, and then Carter and Snowdy, and then they got other guys that play off of him. But he is it's no secret, but if you can keep him in front of you and out of the lane and just make him take tough shots, and then I would say for PG, a kid that doesn't get much attention is Tanner Hanks. He leads them in assists, and it's not even close. And Kaden Adams is an unbelievable scorer, but Hanks kind of makes that team go. He makes a lot of plays that are winning basketball plays, and then McAdams finishes. So those would be the 2 things.
I just asked for 1, Coach. I'm teasing.
Hey, I may never get my chance in front of a mic again. Thanks. I'm taking it. Thanks, Dave.
This way my game prep is done, so that helps.
Hamma going to pick up the foul. As they'll put Evan Young at the line. And look, it's a 15-point game with 6 minutes left. This is kind of where it goes. Not to judge up bad memories. Tanner Hanks made my favorite play of the year until we get to the state championship. That block on Staley. Staley got the steal on the inbound. You guys had a chance to tie or win. And he comes back and gets the block. I went up to bat for that game and was like, dude, that was awesome. Because that to me just speaks of everything what that kid is about. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree. He is such a smart basketball player, and he just makes winning basketball plays. And Coach McAllister does a great job with their team. I mean, they're great as far as everything that they do, but that kid makes winning plays. You're right.
And I'll tell you, the silent assassin in that game, and we'll bring it up in our broadcast, Michael Mitten. He ate Syracuse alive in the 2 games. Not just a plethora of points, timely plays that he makes. He finds his moments. He reminds me of Cale Mickelson. Just timely moments he goes and picks you apart.
No, he does. And what he is really good at is getting to the free throw line. In our first game against them, he shot 11 free throws, and he earned them all. I mean, he's tough going to the rim.
So the bucket there and a full court press on from Syracuse. Can they make something happen as Rawson finds a cutting Ashton Wallace. Ashton now with 15 points, the leading scorer on the day. He's got 15 and 6. That ball, you think Reneer wants to win?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a great play to kind of signify AF, right? The hustle. It may not be the flash and that we've seen from other teams, but it's just Syracuse. Hey, that's out off of them, and I'm not giving up on this, right? To track that down and try to save it.
Oh, and Evan Young maybe got away with one there on that 3-point attempt from Williams.
AF's so tough in this situation because Young is really good with the basketball and super quick, and they just kind of chew you up and cut you apart with what they do.
Is Evan going to hand back to Moeaki? Wallace cross court to Reneer, and a reset it as they're going to chunk this thing down and get you out of place. And there it is, Ashton Wallace.
The quick ball movement. I mean, that rarely touches the floor, and when you do that, you can move that zone around and it ends up with Wallace right at the rim.
AS playing really well. I remember when we played them in the first round of our region play, they had a couple losses, and Coach Cuff was a little frustrated with it, but you could just see that these guys would come together and that they were going to be a tough team to beat as the season went along, and they're playing that way now. If you're going to beat AF, you're going to have to earn it. They're really good.
If you go watch the film from the Davis game that was right after the Duncanville game, and you watch this one, 2 different teams.
Yao was a little ginger with his shoulder. He's trying to stretch it out. Maybe a note to keep an eye on with the upcoming schedule. He's got some time to rest it.
Free 3 on the way and good. Semro knocks down the 3. We'll take the break. 4:23 left in the 4th. AF leads by 16. You're watching the 6A quarterfinals. 4:23 left in the 4th quarter. Syracuse still clinging to some hope here, down 16. They'd have to speed up American Fork, get some turnovers, and then got to hit threes to make this happen this late without any reason. Whoa, Ollie Anderson.
That was a skip to the loo, wasn't it? The tough thing about AF, too, is all the guys on the floor right now for them, they shoot free throws really well. Tiger's going out now, but Tiger's a really, really good free throw shooter as well.
Yeah, Ollie Anderson got the Hakeem Olajuwon treatment on that one.
Yes, he did. Or the LeBron James.
The dream shake. Yeah. That wasn't a shake. Even Sean Kemp agrees. Into the corner, Semro off on the three. Hamlin with the board, and then the foul as Rawson picks up the personal foul.
The Rain Man. You know, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
On our shared YouTube TV account, I still have the Glove and the Rain Man documentary. I didn't get rid of that one.
That's a good one, by the way. It is. That's a good watch. And for those that enjoyed Lob City, the original Lob City is up in a town right now without a town because of a commissioner who takes care of his friends. Anyway, back to the action.
But Hamlin hits the first free throw. Tell you what happens, they unravel toward the end of the games is Hamlin gets them both.
And he'll be back next year, I believe. I believe he's a junior, so he'll be back for Syracuse.
Yes, he will be. So will Kaden Ericksen. So a nice returning group here.
Evan Young or the Moeaki, Yao, now Tiger. Ollie Anderson will back it out. Trap coming to Young. Anderson along the baseline, and he's fouled by Hamlin. And Ollie Anderson will go to the free throw line to shoot 2 free throws. And Anderson got a lot of minutes at the beginning of the year. They're waiting for Moeaki to get cleared medically because, again, he hurt his knee during the football season. So Ollie got a ton of time to start the year. And then he's had his time cut down as he's had to come off the bench with Moeaki coming back.
But he's so valuable for them because as he comes off the bench, he almost always makes the right play. He's a consistent shooter. He's a very good free throw shooter. I hope I don't jinx him right here, but he just makes the right play. Ollie does his job.
That's the 5th on Hamlin. So the juniors fouled out as you see hugs along the benches there.
And here's the deal for all these screens. They don't want to hear this, but because maybe they'll go back and watch it. There's nothing to be frustrated about for the Syracuse Titans team. I mean, we were talking during the break, and that's not how they went into Davis and got that win. For anything that's worth, yeah, you guys swept the regular season, but you took the one that mattered, and the one that mattered to those seniors.
Yes.
That was a team that had no expectations to lose until maybe next Saturday.
Yeah, no, I agree. These Syracuse kids should be so proud of what they've done because you look at what they did in the preseason and then what they accomplished throughout region and then in the state tournament. It's been an awesome year for them, and you can see that their program's growing, and Coach Russell, he really does a great job with these guys, and they're going to be a strong team for years to come, I believe, because of him.
Brock Williams with the bucket and a 30-second, no, it's a full. So full timeout, we'll take that. 3:19 left in the fourth, closing moments here in the 6A quarterfinals, game 2 on the day. So 3:18 and counting left in the fourth quarter. Is Syracuse clinging here, down 13. Here's Yao Reneer. What? No, he misses the dunk. Semro comes away with the board, trying to get the foul, and Yao gets the steal. When you try to set up the foul instead of just getting up the floor, I mean, not to pick on Semro. I mean, it's like the wide receiver that keeps banging into the corner. Just go catch the ball. Like, he goes up the floor, he has it. Yeah. Yao, the heads-up play.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to draw the foul there, and the ref didn't give it to him, and Yao was trailing on it, and he got it.
Ashton Wallace going to go cross court to Evan Young. Inside, and it's Adam Rawson laying it in. First points today for Adam.
Adam's got a younger brother that's going to be a good player as well. He's got a brother that's a sophomore that's a good basketball player. I would expect to see him next year.
They look like twins, for heaven's sake.
They do. That family produces basketball players.
I think that's Blake, right?
I think that's his name. Yeah.
Well, I remember, Andrews got all the love, and I remember telling Dane can attest to this. I can say, Rawson is the dude between the two of them. That guy showed up at every big game. It was Rawson.
I agree, it was him, and he was so physical and just so strong, and he was tough inside and out, and I agree with you, he was the guy on that team, but he wasn't nearly as highly recruited.
Yeah, not close. Like I said, went to SUU and then Utah. Yeah. So the free throw's good, and it's back to a 13-point game. There's Reneer. Again, Syracuse without full court pressure, trying to find a trap, and Moeaki's fouled. It'll be one-on-one free throws here for Noah Moeaki.
So I don't get this chance very often, so I'm going to put you guys on the spot. I got a question for you guys. Who are the top 1 or 2 players, most exciting players for you guys to cover over the last however many years you guys have been doing this? Do 1 or 2 stand out to you as just like, wow, they were really fun to cover?
You want the first day?
Well, one of the things you'll get to know about me is I remember 5 years ago about as well as I remember. Yep. I do not have a good memory.
Right.
I will tell you this. The things that are fun for me is when we connect with athletes and with families. One of the ones that was fun for me was milk and cookies with Saxton Morgan.
Yeah.
You know, Fremont, he was a basketball player, football player, and you know, just the connection we had with his dad, and I mean, you know, went to his mission farewell, and still state tournaments, he's come up and talked to us, and so for me, those are the fun ones, right? Is when you build a relationship with someone and see some of those things continue on. So that's one that I love. It was kind of our first kind of introduction to Fremont, I think, where we really, for me at least, had a tight connection to a program. That was a fun one, and you know, there have been a lot of those over the years, but that's one that comes to my mind really quickly.
I'll take the easy. I'll take the low-hanging fruit. Frank Jackson.
You were a big Frank Jackson guy. You
I
were
got
on him
Frank
early.
as a sophomore in
yeah.
that state championship run with T.J. Haas, and then his junior year we had the game at UCCU Center and the dunk down the lane against American Fork, and then we did the game at the Marriott Center. My first game back to the Marriott Center will be Saturday, which is awesome. So Frank, and then Dallin Hall. I mean, kind of more close for me with that, the Hall family.
Yeah.
People I got to know really, really well, Nicole and crew. I mean, in fact, when we had our son Detmer, they brought a gift for Detmer. That's how well we got to know the Halls. It was awesome.
You know, and that was when Dusty kind of stole Fremont from my grips, which I'm just teasing. But I had a couple of others that came to mind as you were going through that, and now I forgot them.
Well, my originals
Hall's
were
a good one.
My originals were Tyler Haas and C.J. Wilcox.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys were so fun to watch back in the day. And to your point with Frank, that kid was so fun to watch play. He was so explosive and so aggressive. And then Dallin comes along. Man, Dallin was so skilled. And Dallin could just take over games all by himself.
So I'll tell you, here it comes back.
Ryland.
Well, I loved Ryland. For me, Dusty and I, look, and this hopefully sits well with you. He was a Chancery Ross guy. I was a Stephen Ashworth guy. You know, the Bountiful teams, you were a big Celius guy. I was a big Merrill guy. Like, we've had a lot of those where you see those kids early, and it's like, you know, Frank Jackson, you know, Dusty was that way with Frank, but it's like you see those guys like, that guy has a great opportunity ahead of him. And so when you see that at a young age, Ryland was one. I saw him up in Logan as a freshman. It's like, that dude's going to be a problem. And it's just fun to see them early in their careers develop, but those are some of the things that stand out whenever I get asked that question.
Well, and then we had like the hidden gems, right? Spencer Johnson was with Ross, and I remember telling me, and this isn't a knock, or with Brendan Bailey, I'm like, dude, Spencer Johnson, that kid's an absolute animal.
He was.
In that game against Frank at the Marriott Center, I remember Spencer Johnson and Frank were going back and forth with threes and plays. So those ones are fun. And our first one was American Fork. Remember, it was Haas, but I'm trying to remember his first name. He played baseball at UVU. Doggone, it's going to come back to me.
From AF?
Yeah.
We had Austin Haas?
Austin Haas. Remember bowling for chairs? We did a tournament at the UVU at the E Center, and he went diving out of bounds and he threw it back in, and they scored. And he went into the chairs. So there's fun ones like that.
You know what, you guys, I was telling you guys this off air, but it's just so neat what you guys have done for these kids over the years, and the kids that you've covered, and the experiences that you've given all of us. So we really appreciate it. From a coaching standpoint, we sure appreciate what you guys have done.
Well, let me just add a note, too, because I was reminded this, and I actually learned this at the AF Lone Peak game. I met Papa Rawson. He was telling me a little bit, hey, what's Tyler up to? You want to know what Tyler's up to? He's officiating now.
Oh, is he really?
Hey, awesome, right? We got to build the officials. If you're interested in officiating out there, there are plenty of opportunities available. But with the coming of the shot clock, look, there's a need to update our officials and continue to build that pipeline. But Tyler Rawson wants to be an NBA official, and so he's cutting his teeth here in the state of Utah, which is awesome.
You know what else he does? He goes to the health theater. I didn't want to bug him. I took all I had personally not to leave my wife and go say, hey, remember watching you play.
Yeah, hey, that's what love is.
What was the play, Dusty, that you were seeing?
I don't know, we go to a lot. So
good for you.
We do.
I'm a big theater fan, too.
My wife, you know, it's a deal. I do all the sports stuff. We go to a lot of plays.
That's
a lot of them.
I was wondering if it was chitty chitty, bang, bang.
Yeah, it might have been chitty chitty. As on the drive and hit is Ollie Anderson, and AF's going to move on 60. But yeah, there's just so many of those players, Coach. I mean, they just think back. Bertha Ridge, Morgan Grimm, that was our first year. Morgan Grimm, Michael Larson, Brett Somerville hit the 3 at the horn.
For me, Steve Panos,
Steve
right?
Panos,
Highland.
yes.
I love
the
Big
Highland
Steve,
hecklers.
yeah.
Well, Craig Cusick is our famous one, our first state tournament. I don't know if you've heard this story.
I don't think I have.
So they played Box Elder in the first round of that state tournament, and Craig Cusick went off. And my first ever interview after the game, go interview Craig, well, basketball-wise. And there's a lob to Ross, he misses the dunk. But I go to Craig and I was like, hey, how big's the rim look tonight? And he looks at me and goes, what? And I repeat the question, how big the rim look like? You were just knocking everything. I don't understand what you mean. I was like, I had to bail, but
I think the answer was, well, I think it's the same size.
That's what it was.
And, Dustin and I, we started this like 16 years ago. And I usually had the post-game interviews, and it was always like, yeah, you think it's so easy, don't you? And so anyway, in my young and mature days, I got a snicker out of that. But
you guys have created some great memories for these kids and teams, and anyway, we appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Coach. As we wind down the last 15 seconds, remember to stick around. We'll have our final thoughts from Coach Ross, who we saw this afternoon from AF. And a final thought for Syracuse, and Dana will select our Heineman Associates Player of the Game. It'll be back-to-back years. American Fork heading to the Final Four in the 6A state tournament as they punch their ticket, and they'll wait to play the winner of Pleasant Grove and Skyridge. So, Coach Ross, your final thoughts we saw from American Fork, and a parting thought on Syracuse.
Yeah, I'll start with Syracuse. Like I said, I'm really proud of those kids because I know there wasn't a ton of expectations for that team at the beginning of the year. And then you look at how they grew throughout the year and what they turned into, and they should be nothing but proud of what they've accomplished. They did a great job. So proud of what they did. And then as far as AF is concerned, if you're going to beat AF, you better come prepared because they're going to be prepared when they play you. They're strong, they're physical, they shoot it well, and they're going to be a tough out.
Absolutely. Dan, player of the game.
Player of the game, I'm going to go with Ashton Wallace. Yeah. 17 points, 8 rebounds today to lead the way. And you look at what he provided for this AF team early on. He was the only player in double figures at the break. He kind of set the tone early a little bit, thought it was critical, and then breaking down that Syracuse defense, I'll go with Wallace as our player of the game.
Great pick. And again, congratulations to Coach Ryan Cuff getting back to the semifinals, back-to-back years for American Fork, getting back to the championship game for the second time in 3 years. But next game coming up, American Fork and Skyridge. But I want to thank Coach Ross for joining us, but for Vince Francis, Dane Stewart, and Coach Ross, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and for watching Game Night Live Rewind's coverage of the 2022 6A State Tournament on KSLSports.com.